It's about to go down with Marc and Cathey, a live coaching show about dropping ideas. Marc and Cathey coach and have conversations with brilliant idea creators who are reimagining the world through the expression of their words, thoughts, and actions.
Hey, everybody, welcome to It's About to Go Down with Marc and Cathey. We're going down today. This is our final episode, the big grand finale. Marc, we've been holding off for a little while because we really wanted to give this episode the love and attention that it really deserves. And, we've been doing this thing behind the scenes that nobody's ever got a chance to see, but we've actually done it 120 times throughout the 12 seasons. And it's this. We would, with every single episode, with every single person, before we would actually start the show, we would ask them to put their hands together with us and start doing fire. And the fire thing we started it with Mark Brown in the pilot episode. And so we got everybody to do it with us. And we said, hey, this is going to jumpstart our nervous system. It's going to get us excited, give us that energy that we need, and release all the extra. And that's how we started every single one. So, Marc, I just want to
Wow.
say I'm really happy to be here doing this final episode with you.
Oh, come on. It's awesome. And, listen, you already got me singing before we actually started recording. So I'm going to try to hold off on that. But when you said we have been holding off on this, Boys to Men popped in my head. I'm like, it's so hard to say goodbye. Um,
It's
you
not a
know,
goodbye, it's a next
it's
chapter.
Yeah, that's right. It's really a next chapter, and we can't wait to tell everybody about the next chapter. But I think it's so important for us as a process to just really go down this memory lane, right? This journey that, as I always like to give life to, started during this pandemic, started during this thing called COVID, started with my sister calling me and saying, I got an idea. And I'm like, I don't care what the idea is, I'm down.
And then us going, what's the name of our web show going to be? Because we want it to be a web show and not a podcast. And then everybody we tell is like, what the hell is a web show?
Yes, yes. Well, listen, because I always call you the concept queen because you are the concept queen, all hail, right? And so it's no surprise that people would be like, "What's a web show?" Because it's something they never heard of because there's stuff cooking in that Kathy Armia's brain that people aren't even ready for yet. But when it gets served, oh, you will get served.
Oh, I love it. And Marc, you're the first person to be like, oh, web show, let's go. Come on.
Listen, I know what company I keep, and I'm listen. This will be a love fest throughout. But I'm so glad that you called that day with that idea. I'm so thankful that I was someone that you wanted to do this with. It has been an absolute joy, and I love what you said. This really all started with the concept of let's pull the curtains, you
Mm,
know and expose the behind the scene of what coaching is about, right? And I still think that is such an awesome idea that we were coaching people through an idea. What I love in true fashion is how it evolved from really a coaching conversation to an idea
mm.
conversation.
I love that too. That was one of the best things that came out of this journey is like, okay, so it's going to be a web show and, we're going to pull the curtain back and show people that our initial conversations when we're coaching somebody for an idea that they might be giving for a talk or starting a business or whatever always starts with having this conversation. And we didn't name it yet, but really it was just having the conversation about the idea, putting the idea to test, poking holes in it, trying to find new angles. And so as we had lots of people on the show, we just realized this isn't an idea conversation. And I love that we termed it that. I don't remember
Mhm.
exactly where it was born or who said it, but I know it just like popped out of nowhere of like, we're having an idea conversation.
I don't remember exactly where it popped up, but here's what's coming to mind for me. There were several moments along this journey where we were having these coaching conversations with people who are like, oh, wow, I never thought about that. And we had this insight. And not that we don't ever have insight, I think we bring a lot of insight. But then there were certain people that we started speaking to, and we started to realize, oh, I don't know if we know everything about this topic. Like, teach us. And I felt like there were moments
Which
when we
is
were
the
learning.
best. The best way
Yes,
to have a conversation is to talk to
yes,
somebody who doesn't know about it.
yes.
No, for sure. That made me think too. We have given people titles for their books. We've given people taglines. We have given some really juicy tidbits have happened because of the conversation. And regardless of who said it or where it came from, it was really born from the synergy that we would have with the person, with you and me, and the person that we would have on the show. And it was those conversations, and it was unique. It's so different than a lot of podcasts who might like have somebody on the podcast and yeah, they're having a conversation, but we really were all about the idea. And so 120 guests, 122 episodes technically, because we had Mark Brown, who's the voice of our show. He's the opening of our show. And we also had him on our pilot. And then we had that huge tech issue with Savas in season 6. So we had this awesome conversation with Savas when the power went out and there was a storm in Portland and I didn't have power, remember? And I remember sitting in my windowsill and we were still recording and we were like, this is a really damn good. We should turn it into an episode anyway. So Savas was on twice. Yeah, there was a whole array of things that happened, the people that we talked to, even things that were happening in the world as it changed, because we did start in
Mm.
2020 when we were all, still at home, and it kept going until just recently. So, I mean, we've really, even in the span of time, there was a lot of things that happened.
You bring up the whole technical aspect. First of all, I also remember we had to do Myron's episode a
Yes,
second time.
the whole thing over.
Yes, yes. And then I'm thinking about the time span. And listen, you always have such an awesome background. I remember struggling with the virtual backgrounds. I looked like I was in some office. There was a whole lot going on. The lighting. We were talking about there
The
was a
Brooklyn
lot.
apartment in the Brooklyn apartment. Wait, I have a virtual Brooklyn apartment background in my Brooklyn apartment.
But we
Amazing.
made it work. Kathy, I want to ask you something that just came to mind that I don't think I ever asked you before.
Hmm.
Before you called that day, before you left that message, and that message is still on my phone, by the way.
Oh, is it? We gotta
Yes,
immortalize that.
right? Um, Clearly the idea sparked in your head before that call. I don't know if you remember, but what sparked the idea in the first place?
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember the exact thing right before that, but I can tell you that our our connection and our relationship from the moment that we met has always been such a synergy. I
Mm,
mean, from the day that you walked up to me when I was doing the Unbreakable Rules of Marketing in the LaGuardia Marriott, and then we went to lunch at that, was it Dos Caminos
yes,
restaurant?
yes, yes.
And then all the times that we met in Queens near my sister's house, and then me going over to your family's house in Brooklyn when your kids were little, and us all walking the Brooklyn Bridge with our families, and then all the the subsequent times of you and I walking the Brooklyn Bridge sometimes at night, and when I'm in town, just all of the times and you going to the world champion at public speaking. I just look back at all these moments
Mm.
before that, and I always felt like there was a tap on my shoulder of like, you and Mark, when you have conversations, they meld well. They're very synergistic and and so I think in that moment I was feeling like, ugh, I gotta stay in and do what? I know other people
Mm.
were struggling with like I got little kids in the house and stuff, and I was having the opposite. I was like, I can't, I'm gonna go crazy. I want to do something creative. And then I just remember calling you and being like, I don't know. I just want to do something creative with you, Mark. And this has been building, in us, I think, for a really long time. And yeah, and then I called you and I don't remember exactly what I said. I can't wait to hear it. Like I
Yeah.
don't remember exactly what I said. I think I have this like idea of something that we could possibly do, and then we had our
Yeah.
conversation. So yeah, it just was a buildup of our relationship from the moment that we met. I felt like you were, and you've said it a lot. I felt like you were family that I just met. Like that was like you were in my family. I just never knew you until that moment. Long lost family.
Yeah, I feel the same. And you know what? Um, what I'm appreciating about this particular chapter for us is how many more people got added to this family in this circle. I mean, when you talk about, all of the different guests, all of the different stories, all of the different people. And, we pulled from your circle, we pulled from my circle. We got to, between the two of us, meet some amazing people that we might have never have talked to individually. And now we're part of this, call it this network, this globe, this community, what have you. I'm very thankful for the people that I now know because you brought them in, and I am very thankful for the people I've known who then got to meet you.
Oh my gosh, Mark, that is such a beautiful way to put it because if you if we were to look at this like a school project or like let's say a PhD project, like let's say you were in college, you're trying to get your PhD, you have this huge project, you're like, yeah, I'm going to gather 120 stories over the course of 5.5 years, and I want to see what themes come up, who we meet, what happens. Like you made me think about it about a month ago. And so, I did the nerdy thing where I went to every single episode. Oh my gosh, it took me hours. And I downloaded the transcript for every single episode we've ever done. I put them in
Mm,
folders for every single season that we've done. And I had AI sort out themes that came up, lessons that we've
mm,
learned from it. So I'm super excited to talk about that a little bit later, but it if talking about that human experience that we would have never had, this is a huge part of our legacy. And I didn't really think about it until you just said it now, that one day, far, far away, hopefully at the end of our life, we'll be like, wow, we did this really cool thing and it involved so many people across the globe.
yeah. All right, so I'm receiving that, I'm appreciating that, and then I can't help it. The teacher in me just it gravitated towards the word learned. And I don't know my response to this yet, so I'm thinking about it. Over the course of this thing we call It's About to Go Down, what were some of the things? Ooh, I'm going to borrow from speaker skills, and we're going to get to that. What's something you loved and what's something
Mm,
you learned?
mm. Well,
Hmm.
I loved everything about it. I really. even the times, I remember so many times you and I were trying to fit this in our busy schedules, and you're, East Coast, I'm West Coast. Sometimes the person on is like in another country, and so we're trying to figure out other time zones. And I remember sometimes it was like either early or late for me, and I felt a little like, oh, I don't know if my brain's going to work in this episode. I'm tired. I feel a little laggy today. But every time I would show up, Mark, and I think part of it is just who you are. You inspire me to show up with such passion and, being excited. You're always so positive. So one of the things I love was just spending this time with you and all the people that we spent. It's precious time. If I get really emotional about it, every single moment we spent with every guest is a moment that we'll never have back. But we have this moment in time that in that moment we were very present with each other, and we were having such a great conversation, and ideas were flowing. So I love that. Like, I love the sum of all of that. I learned so much from the people that we had on the show. I I learned to be more vulnerable. There were many times on the show that I opened up and said some things about my personal life that I'm not used to saying out loud. I I learned to learn from my mistakes. Um, I learned that I may be somebody that helps people with their ideas, but I don't have all the great ideas. Beautiful ideas come from everywhere and anywhere. I mean, I learned so many things during the course of the show. What about you?
Mm. The word synergy is coming up for me right now when I think about what I love. There is a synergy that you and I have that makes me so appreciative when people have brought it up. Like we just
Mm,
kind of bounce off of each other. And I love the synergy even beyond just the two of us, because for me, one of the other great compliments and things that I'm receiving is in all of these idea conversations we've had, I think everybody spoke about how comfortable they felt, how enjoyable their time was, how insightful and thought-provoking it was. And that didn't come from it being forced, and it didn't come from it being scripted, it didn't come from it being overly structured. It just came from it being authentic. And there's something about this authentic synergy that I've absolutely loved. And I think what I learned is I learned to trust myself.
mm,
And I say that because, you know, I not only love you, my sister, but I admire you and I look up to you, my sister. And when I say all these things about being like the concept queen, right? It's not just a catchphrase or anything for me. Like, I love you talk about my positivity. I love your creativity. And so a lot of times we would be in these idea conversations, and you would just have this way of putting these words and phrases together, and then you pick up your notebook and all of a sudden there's these illustrations. I'm like, I thought you were just writing words. You're writing graphs and drawing arrows and all kinds of different things. And it was so wonderful to be in this space with you and to learn that, right? And I
mm,
don't even profess that that has become like some awesome skill that I now possess, but I've learned so much about packaging an idea
mm.
together. And I am so thankful that between your ability to be creative in the moment and create concepts, and I'll give myself the nod, my ability to just ask these probing
Oh,
questions that bring things out. And especially to bring back some things that people have said. That one of my favorite questions was like, did you have you used that phrase before? And people are like, no. And I'm like, you should be using that phrase. That's it. So
That's
I
the
love the
one.
synergy. Yes, I love
Yeah.
the synergy, and I've learned from the creativity.
I love that. You know, one of the things that this, of course, led us to, for anybody watching, if it, we talked about it a little bit, but what it really led us to was 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, starting Speaker Skills Academy. And I think the things that you speak of, Mark, that we started talking about, well, how do you teach somebody the charisma that Mark Williams
Mm.
has? Like nobody's Mark Williams level charisma, right? That's that stage presence, that positivity, that big energy, all of that. And then, the parts that I brought, the creativity, the marketing background, the concepts, the finding the idea, the being a TED coach, adventure, having an adventurous spirit. I love that we were able to like filter all of the things that were positive about our connection and about what makes us who we are and bring it into a community that now allows the same, right? So to me, that's also like another evolution. So the people in our community,
Mm.
the coaches in our community do the same. They show up with that same real, authentic who they are, in our community. So, yeah.
I'm glad you spoke about that because already in this conversation, we have made references to Speaker Skills Academy, right? Which is the next chapter. Actually, that chapter has already started.
It
The
already started,
pages
but
have
it's the
already been
big.
turning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, you've said this on a couple of occasions. The reason why we met in LaGuardia that day, we didn't know the reason why we ultimately met. The reason why we ultimately met was Speaker Skills Academy.
Mm, yeah.
What we did not know is that Speaker Skills Academy might not have happened without It's About to Go Down.
Yes, exactly. No, so much, right? I feel like and I think I kind of alluded to this, not quite, I didn't go quite this far, Mark, but had somebody told us, oh, you're going to have to do a web show for 5.5 years you're going to have to do all these things before you start this thing, we might be like, I don't know, that's a lot.
That
So
doesn't
thank
even make sense.
It doesn't make sense on paper. It only makes sense, referencing something that Steve Jobs said, right? It only makes sense when you look at it backwards. It
Yes.
only makes sense when you look at it backwards. And of course, the reason why when somebody starts something very successful, no matter what it is, an organization, a business, whatever, it it doesn't you would never ever probably try to count that cost of like how much it's really going to take. And
Mm.
so you're right. I mean, this has become like a PhD for us. And we had already been doing our work. We had already been speaking, but then to concentrate it in this kind of effort, oh, I mean, it just blew the door wide open for what would come next, which is Speaker Skills Academy.
You know, I'm always thinking about those who are watching, right? Because we've been able to have amazing conversation with amazing people, and I always think about why. And ultimately, the why has been for those people, the why has been for us, but the why has also been for anybody who's watching, right? And as you were sharing that, I just kept thinking, for anyone and for everyone who watches this, especially those who have aspirations and ambitions, one of the lessons I would like to pay forward to anybody is accept and understand that what you're working on now can possibly evolve into something you never imagined, right?
Mhm.
And so sometimes we get so caught up on trying to get this to work and it's not working, and it's a part of the process for a reason, and it may evolve into something you never existed. So just have the patience. We I'm thinking about this skills drill we ran yesterday, and one of them, speaking of Steve Jobs, was really around trusting the process and just trusting your intuition and knowing that something's going to come great out of this. What it ultimately is going to look like, I don't know. But go through the process, go through the motions. You'll get there.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
so good. I love that for the audience as well. And we have a lot of people that we know have been following us over the years. There's some loyal viewers that have been like they're watching every single one. I had somebody just tell me the other day, "Oh my gosh, what are you guys doing more episodes?" Not knowing that we were close. Haven't seen anything for a while, and I'm like, "No, we're gonna do a final like grand finale episode." But then, what's next? I We should just talk about it, right?
Let's talk
What's
about it.
next is that, and again, we've already done a little overlap because that's how we do. We're going to start a new web show officially called The Future of Speaking, just because it ties a little bit closer to what we do with Speaker Skills Academy. And it really is what we're about is speaking and storytelling. And so, yeah, we're not 100% sure what it's going to look like, but that's what's evolving next.
Because in our guts and in our even in our subconscious, this is what we know we can contribute. This is going to sound really cliche, but to the planet, right? And to humanity.
Mm,
And when people hear future of speaking, understand that it's not just about orators and people on stages. Like speaking is the most human thing we
yeah.
do, right? And I've said it time and time again. The problems that we have in the world are due to how we communicate. The solutions that we have in the world are due to the way that we communicate. Speaking is the cornerstone of our human existence. And
Mm,
so, as technology is taking a different role, I won't even call it a bigger role, a better role, but it's a different role that technology is taking as far as communication is concerned, we need to have conversations about what the future of speaking is going to look like and how do we preserve the things that we know work really well about
mm.
speaking so that those things continue because we never want to we theoretically we never want to lose our voices, right? We never want to
Yeah.
lose our
Oh,
voices.
100%, right? I know we don't want to go down this rabbit hole for too far, but I will say one thing. I was writing a post this morning. I just felt compelled. I saw a post. It's one of these posts that like copy and paste and everybody, and I cannot stand, I've never in my life like just cut and paste something that somebody else wrote and just said, if you agree with this, cut and paste. I've never done that.
Mhm.
Because because ultimately what it is, it's somebody else's voice. It's you may agree with it, but it wouldn't be the way you would write it. But I felt so strongly about this post that I put at the top, I said, hey, I've seen something like this going around. So I want to put my own voice and my own words and my own experiences to
Mm.
it. And so I wrote the whole thing out, and it was about addiction and how people close to you and people that you love. And if you've never had to experience it like really, really close up, you have no idea how hard it is. But I wrote everything out in my own words, and I was not going to you can't you have from your heart, from your voice, from your experience, we can never lose that, right? And I don't care how polished somebody, AI could write it for us, it still has to come from our gut. And that's why when we look at some of the communication that's online, a lot of it you're like, oh, it's like it just it reeks of the same voice, which is a robotic AI, short sentences, lots of M dashes kind of
Yeah.
voice. And I know, like, the thing is, somebody could send me a message from your phone, Mark, and I could tell if Mark Williams really wrote it. I'd be like, all right, who kidnapped Mark and where is he?
Yeah.
Because this is not him, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
I love that I love everything you said. You so beautifully articulated how important communication and speaking and even stories, like making sure we preserve our stories long after we're gone. The only things that might remain are stories, right? Are these stories. So I love that you said it. And so speaking about that, I thought we could have a little moment where we chat about our favorite, moments and things that
Yes,
people
yes.
said. And I don't, I, you know, we have a list of 10, so, that we wrote down, but if you want to freestyle any of them, Mark, but I'm going to start with the first one that we did in one of our later seasons, and it was from
Go for
Rebecca
it.
Armstrong. And
Mm.
Rebecca is this just really, really kind, wise, intelligent, and absolutely creative person. And she has the power, and she's owned her own marketing agency, and she just has this beautiful power of saying something simple but powerful. And she came up with this campaign idea that real is beautiful. And
Mm.
that's what our whole conversation with her was about, was this campaign about how real is beautiful and it's powerful. And so I still hold that on my heart as one of my favorite moments.
Oof. Well, tag, I'm it, and I'm going to highlight a very special moment for us. It's About to Go Down has been this virtual web show.
Mm.
Almost never have we ever been in the same space.
Even same state.
Right. But then you came to New York for a visit, and we rented out a studio. And while I wish Kendra Dixon, one of the most awesome people on the planet, he and his idea about radical ownership, right, and real
Mhm.
breakthroughs, um, even though he couldn't be there with us in person, and sort of it was like a hybrid episode, for you and I to be sitting next to each
I
other,
know.
that felt special. And that will always be one of the most memorable moments of this entire journey. Again, us being in the same spot, awesome. Us being in that same spot while having a conversation with Kinja, who's
Yeah.
brilliant and so like authentic and spiritually genius.
Mm.
Yeah, that
And
was one of
who
my
should have been in New York, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. But
I
he's
think
traveling the world and
I
he's
think
doing
he
all kinds
went
of awesome
West Coast,
things.
right?
Yes, yes, yes. He went the wrong way. We brought you over here. You went
We
there.
we we switched, Yeah.
Yes,
No,
yes,
that
yes.
was such a great moment. I
Yeah,
love that. That
yeah,
was that was fun. And Kinja brought the heat, and that conversation was awesome. And it was such a good idea.
yeah, yeah.
I love that. I love that. Um, another one I've been thinking about, I met Cage Lightner through one of
Mm.
these really creative. So I did this thing, as you know, I did this like life goal. I'm going to walk 10 bridges with 10 of the most amazing people that, that I love before I die. So 10 amazing bridges, 10 people. And then one of my friends came and said, "Well, I get I'm maybe not on your top 10 list, but is there room for any other like bridge walking?" And I was like, yeah, and then it started that I met, Pietro, who's living in Italy, but we met in Canada, and we walked a bridge together, and we made an interesting promise. We said, let's start walking bridges with strangers like we met, and then we'll come back and walk a bridge together. And so Cage was one of the first people that I put out into my universe, and I said, hey, if anybody knows somebody that I should do a bridge walk with,
Mhm.
and I don't know them, they don't know me. Don't tell them anything about me. Don't tell me, don't tell me anything about them. It was Cage. And so for him to
Mhm.
get on and talk about, his transformation in life, and it was really beautiful because that was the conversation that we had on the bridge. So it felt like an extension of that.
Mhm.
Um, and I love that, one of the things that he really said was, I don't remember the exact quote, but I remember that he said something about finding who he wasn't becoming somebody different. It was accepting who he already was.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I was just like, oh, like my heart. No. So anyhow, that was a big moment for me.
Well, I will add to that another moment that really stands out. My brother Mario Lewis. Oh, ever since I met him,
Mm,
both competing for the world championship of public speaking, we have been brothers in arms in this journey. Um, and I loved when he came on the show because it was a great opportunity to show and to highlight a diversity of approaches. You,
yeah.
I, and he are creatives and speakers. And I want to pat us on the back for what we have been able to accomplish through speaking. What I think that conversation highlighted for me is that everybody's got their own process. And there's no right or wrong process, but for us to be able to create a platform where we could say to the world, listen, if you want to really excel at this,
Mm.
there's like at least three different ways that you can do this. And Kathy, I got to say, this really just came to mind for me. So many people write books and do trainings and bless their hearts because we do that. We write books and we do trainings. And
Right.
sometimes it's like, oh, well, bring in Kathy Armias because she's got the answer to this. Bring in Mark Williams because he's got the answer to this. And I love that it wasn't my answer. It wasn't your answer. It wasn't Mario's answer. It was three different things that we introduced to the world and told the world, listen, pick and choose whichever one works for you. And I love the fact that we even committed to trying out each other's process.
Yes, so we were texting each other like, how's that going?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I
Let
love
that be
that.
a lesson to the world. Try
I
somebody else's process.
try somebody else's process and then just know that whatever your process that works for you, if you have one, go with it. Take the learnings from other people, but definitely come up with your own. I love that. That was really
Mm.
good. Well, we can't be in the creative process area and not go back to Savas's, you know, conversation. I met Savas when oh gosh, a long time ago when I was still the director of marketing at the industrial shredder company, making all these viral shredding videos. And he was the producer on one of these TV shows that were running. And so we became really good friends during that time. And I loved that the conversation that we had with him over the course of two episodes, because of course one of them was in the dark, but it was too good. It was too juicy to not just post in the dark. So we did, but then we had kind of official one where all the power was on and everything. And we continued the conversation. But I love that we talked about the creative process and he was talking about even what they do in TV and movies and how they sit around and how they sort out bad ideas. And he even had mentioned at some point that, you know, you cannot like you have to let the bad ideas flow or you're not going to get the good ones too. But there was something that I loved that he said, and it was exactly this. It was like the simplicity, it takes work when something ends up looking really simple. It you have no idea how much work was actually put into it. You know, it really reflects how much work went into it. And I love that because I watched him work on this TV show that he produced, and he put in so much work for like an 8 minute segment. Like so
Mm.
like months of work for an 8 minute segment that was beautiful, by the way. But yeah, and so it's something that we could learn. That sometimes when we work really hard, we can make something so beautifully simple and powerful.
Mm. And speaking of simply and powerful, we've had people of all different walks of life, and that did not exclude bringing in some young like adolescent members of our community to be on. And Paisley really
Oh,
stands out. I mean, my goodness, how old was she when we spoke to her?
7. I think she was 7 when we had her on the show.
Man,
Yeah. She's like a
Kathy,
teenager now.
oh my goodness. We had an idea conversation with a 7-year-old who was already doing major
Yeah.
things in her community.
Oh,
Oh,
beyond her community. She would go on to speak. This was after, but would speak at the UN. She's been on TV multiple times. She started an organization to help kids all over the world get access to education and books. All of this stemmed from her wanting to help some kids that she saw on the news, right? Talk about the power of an idea and just action, putting action behind the idea. And her mom was her rock. Her mom was like, "Okay, you want to do this thing? Let's do it." I think that says a lot about the support system that she had
mm,
because another parent could have been like, "Oh, sweetie, that's so cute that you want to do something for other kids, but you can't really do something." Her mom's like, "Great, let's do something." And so she started Paisley Pals. It became a nonprofit organization. Like, so great. So great.
mm,
That was
mm.
that was incredible.
That was really incredible. And I got to tell you, I got to jump in here for a moment because you said two things that really stood out to me. One, the power of putting the idea into action. And I really admire this 7-year-old who taught us and everybody else. Like, don't just let it sit up here and marinate. Like, take something and that's
Do
what I
something.
also, right? That's what I loved about all of our coaching conversations and idea conversations. Like we were not just marinating over an idea. People were doing something with their ideas, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing that you brought up for me is talk about her mom supporting her. Well, let's talk about this other kind of support, Kathy, because we decided to do something really special at one point, and we decided to have our significant others, our
Yes.
husband and our
Yeah.
wives on It's About to Go Down.
I was
Um,
wondering when this was going to come
yeah,
up.
come on. We got to show the love. We got to show the
Oh.
love and show the appreciation for support. Mm.
Oh my gosh. And both of their episodes were phenomenal. I think both of them were like, "Be on the show? Really? Me?" Like, and then we both were like, "Yes." And having such great conversations with both Lauren and John, it's going to be, again, it's something that we kind of took and we have it forever now. We had this awesome conversation with both of them. Um, I love that. I love that. I want to go back to Paisley just for 1 second because
Yes,
when you were
yes.
talking about the action, it reminded me of something that did happen after she was on our show, but I wanted to give this update because this like really so, her and her friends in her neighborhood have to walk to school. School's not very far, but there is one little area that they had to walk, and it was on kind of a main-ish street. And there was a little section, maybe 2 blocks, where they didn't have a sidewalk. And so Paisley went to the city hall meeting. They got her little step ladders so she could reach the she her mom has a picture of her on a step ladder reading a speech. And guess what? The city paved a little piece of sidewalk there so her friends could go do it. So it's just like the power of doing something does something. And
Yeah.
it's just a reminder that if you do things small or large or in between, that if you take
Mm.
action, you can really do something. So that's cool.
That is absolutely cool. Man. Um, Stefan Dyer.
Oh, yeah. God, I just talked about that conversation the other day.
It's funny you say that because this is why that conversation stands out to me. I reference it a lot.
Yeah.
You know, the whole idea of like what makes up your identity. And I said this to somebody the other day. I was like, learn something from and learn something about. Like, there were just so many amazing things in that conversation that have stayed with me and are so practical.
So Stefan, if you're watching, I put your picture up in my workshop the other day when I talked about you. And I gave the concept a name. I called it the intersection of you. And I gave him all credit for him saying that he was a banker and being a banker did not make him unique, but being a banker and being bilingual made him more unique. But being a banker, being bilingual, and being a stand-up comedian made him one in a billion. So I never have forgotten that. It's so creative, it's so brilliant. And I don't know if you've been watching him lately, but he's killing it on the comedy circuit. He's doing so good. So, mm, love that. I
Brilliant
love
idea.
that one. Yeah,
Brilliant idea with true staying power. And let that be a lesson to people. One, always think about those three things about you, right? And I love this point. Each of those things alone are probably very common, but
right.
only you have your unique combination of three. Wow. Think about that for anybody who's watching. And two, think about this. How do you create an idea that has staying power like that so that when you are telling it to other people, they're spreading it to people? He has
Yeah.
no idea the
He has
people
no
I've
idea.
spoken to.
He has no
Awesome.
idea that he was in my workshop the other day. His cute little picture, he has no idea. Maybe he does now, but
Yes, yes.
I love that. The sharing and spreading of ideas is phenomenal. So we had Alicia Butler Pierre on our
Mm.
show. I loved her humility because when she came on her show, she first told us about this whole journey of her trying to give a TED Talk based on a life thing that happened to her, of realizing if something's not working in your life, it might not be you. You might just be sitting in the wrong pond, right? So sometimes you need to move. And it's maybe not you, it's not you, it's not me, it's you. Put that on a shirt. It's not
Put
me,
that
it's
on a
you.
t-shirt.
It's definitely you, not me. No, but just her journey of wanting to give that as a TED Talk and the irony of getting rejected for it in the United States so many times. And then boom, she picks it up internationally. One of the first times that she applies outside the United States, she gets it. And then goes and gives her TED Talk over there and gets to talk about the Jimmy effect. And it all was so, yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know if he did that, but like,
Yeah.
it's more like, I think it's more like, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was probably more like a
I was
ukulele.
like, that's kind of like a banjo. Maybe it's more like, yeah,
Oh,
Jimi
but
Hendrix
I
would be
love
like,
that point. I love that point, and it was such an inspiring point. I loved how you said and how she said it's not you. It's the place. And
it's the
sometimes you have
place.
to
Yeah.
get
Leave the
up and
place.
move. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really good.
Speaking of that, our good friend Kareem McQuilkin,
I love Kareem.
he has really been a joy to know.
Mm,
And just on a side note, to be reconnected, because I think I told you the story, he was in a room where I was doing a training.
mm.
And I didn't know him at the time, but something
In New York,
resonated,
right?
right, in New
In New
York.
York, yeah.
I didn't know him. I didn't know that he was in the room, but something resonated that we ended up getting reconnected because he was looking for help on some upcoming presentations. And I tell you, his energy blew me away that I was like, we gotta have him on. So I've absolutely loved everything that has sprouted from my relationship with Kareem.
Uh, I continue to follow him on LinkedIn, And he is just another one of these people in the world for me that I look to and I just go, oh my gosh, he's always so joyful, positive. He's always on the move. He's doing something cool. And he's so not afraid to just be who he is and show up however he is. And I love that. And I'm maybe not going to out on what he said in Speaker Skills Academy because this is maybe too public. But boy, did he have something that he shared in Speaker Skills Academy that we still talk about to this day because it was hilarious. But we shall not say that
Yes,
here.
but we shall not say that.
But if you're curious, come to Speaker Skills Academy and you can be part of the community and you'll find out things like that. But
Yes, yes. Oh,
it
wow.
was really good and it just ties back to his humility and positivity and just how funny he is.
Yeah. True
Yeah.
educator, a true educator. Ooh, um, I gotta give a nod to another moment. So we had my cousin Shanetta on.
Oh my gosh, I was hoping you would say Shanetta. Oh, this moment.
The moment that will always be burned in my mind is when, yes,
I just happen to have these. These are not like somebody put these on my door the other day. John put these on my door. So this is this is just like meant to be.
oh,
She was
wow.
like sticking them.
Oh,
This I'm just being Shanetta because this is what she did.
oh, that was just so awesome.
Oh,
The visual of it. It
it
was,
was
oh,
amazing.
wow.
You know,
Wow.
her that episode just it was so good and for her to just genuinely stick all these labels on her just like real let me get rid of that one too. I'm like, okay, I think I'm free. Yeah, I love that. And Shanetta again, she's just somebody who like when she has something in her mind she just does it. I could tell that from the minute I met her. And again, I've been following her for years now, and she's on the move. When she wants to do something,
She's
she just goes, "Oh, I'm going to do this thing," and
she's
then she's
doing big
doing it.
things. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. No, it's absolutely awesome. So much love for my cousin.
Oh, I love that. I love that we were able to have some family on too. That's
Yes.
so
Yes.
you have a pretty big family, and I'm going to mention something that wasn't on the show, but I really,
Okay.
in hindsight, I really wish she would have been. But your cousin Tanya. And
Yes.
getting to meet her when you were in Anaheim competing for the world champion of public speaking, and then we went to lunch that day, and I've stayed connected with
Costco.
her. Yeah, and I've stayed connected with her. Like, what a beautiful, awesome person. And just even though it didn't happen on the show, just the conversations that we
Yeah.
had at lunch, and after you left, I think her and I sat in the
Yes.
car for like 2 more hours. It was just
Yes.
going to be a quick, like, oh, goodbye here, drop you off at she was dropping me back off at, the
Yes.
hotel. And then it turned into like a 2 hour conversation in her car. So,
That's what I was talking about earlier. Through this process, we have been able to bring into each other's lives people who have touched our lives in ways we never would have imagined.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right, let's do two more. You go next because I have kind of a grand finale one. And so you pick one more.
All right.
Although there's so many, honestly.
There's so many. There's so many that I will just say shout out to our international guests. Shout out, and we I think we're gonna have to come back to this. Shout out to all of our Speaker Skills Academy members who were guests. Um, I think the last one that I want to highlight before you go to that grand finale is Marcus and Josh.
Oh, yeah.
That was probably our first four-way conversation.
Yes. We're like, oh, we need
Yeah.
another square.
What I enjoyed about that was, this blend of music and idea generation. And it was one of those moments where I felt like the roles were reversed. We
Mm,
weren't leading the conversation or facilitating the conversation. I felt like we were getting coached and prepped for the next chapter. And there was so much that we were talking about in that episode that really tied in with Speaker Skills Academy. And
yeah.
so I will always remember that episode for them introducing creativity, which ultimately includes that 9 by 9 that you and I
Yep.
always talk about in
Yep.
terms of marketing and promoting ideas. So, um, for a show that was about ideas, that was one of the highlight episodes where the idea generators were having ideas generated within our soul because of our guests.
And like you said, they flipped it on us and said, okay, let's use Speaker Skills Academy as a, we're going to generate ideas right now. And we're like, okay, take the
Real
wheel.
time, real time.
No, that was a really good one. They're both so incredibly creative. But, we have to go to the one show that, I'll never forget. I know neither one of us will ever forget it, but the John Waller episode. We had John Waller on pretty soon after he had found out that he had stage 4 colon cancer. It was within a month or two. And I remember at that moment, he was telling us how, well, here, let me go back for just a little bit. I had went on a special walk with him. We hadn't seen each other in a while. We've been friends for a long time. And when we went on this walk, we did this crazy walk, as you know the story. We ran across the freeway, jumped off the edge of the freeway onto an island. The only other way to get to this island, of course, is by boat or kayak or something. But we we kind of jumped off of a freeway to get onto it. And we were the only ones on the island that day. And he said, "Hey, I'm gonna stop running my very successful, business, and I'm gonna find something new to do." And he started telling me about this concept of no ordinary moments. And he said, although it didn't come from him, he's been thinking about that a lot. And so to have him on a few months later after he found out he had cancer not only solidified that moment for me that it wasn't, ordinary, it was very extraordinary in many ways. But then he talked about how he found out he had cancer, about how he had met so many people because he was backpacking in Europe and decided to get off of the train and go left instead of right. And he walked into a bar and met somebody, and now they're friends to this day. Just to have that, and then for me personally, to have him like then move into my house with John and I, um, and watch him go through cancer treatment and living 4 years of vivacious vitality, before he passed. I'm never, ever, ever gonna forget the wisdom in that episode, in those words, ever, ever.
I think about that conversation. I think about this concept of, you know, there are no ordinary moments. And, you know, having someone close to you who's gone through that and who could be spending their years and their time just trying to focus on that. But the fact that he took this moment to join us to pour into the world, right? Like there's a moment and I've got to imagine in your life when things are looking real bleak that it's kind of hard to look outside and think about anybody else. Um, what I received from John that day is our purpose here is not only to understand that there are no ordinary moments, but it's to create extraordinary moments
Mm,
for others.
yeah.
And I hope that we all walk away asking ourselves, how can we for somebody else create a no ordinary moment.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah, very well put.
Rest in peace, our friend.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Wow.
Hmm.
Well, I will tell you, as deep as that got, and while I can't remember like an exact joke or anything like that, we never had any episode that, even when it got serious or super intellectual, there was never a moment when we didn't find a moment to laugh, to smile, to enjoy. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody else that we have mentioned, for making this like fun. And that's one of my new favorite words, Kathy. Like
Hmm.
fun. Like this has been fun. You know, it can seem like a lot of work, right? And make no doubt about it, there was a lot of work behind the scene. The website, the name, the documentation, the working things out with Maddie. Gotta give
Yeah.
her a shout out, right? All of the technical stuff. The time schedules, right? The time conflicts, the re-recordings, the going through something, but still going on and doing this. Um, we always found a way to make sure it was fun.
We did. We
Yeah,
did.
yeah. And that includes some of our favorite laughs didn't even happen when the camera was on.
Oh, they never happened when we were rolling. We should go back to the tapes someday and get all the stuff that happened right after we said it. And that's a wrap.
You know what? And the stuff after it's a wrap, the stuff before we even started,
Yeah.
I mean, I will tell you, I was looking through videos, but first of all, that requires a full-time job.
Uh,
Anybody who's like really going through videos, next time I watch any like final episode, greatest hits episodes, whatever, of anything, I'm showing some deep appreciation. You got to go through so much footage that is insane. Anytime I watch a sporting event now, and I'm like, wait, how they put a highlight reel together
of
in
the
like
top
two
10 moments in
seconds,
sports
right?
history. Yeah.
So I'm appreciating that. We had so many good moments off camera, um, and it made it everything even that much more enjoyable. So yeah, we'll have to go back to some clips and just laugh out loud at ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. Those were fun. Um, so yeah, I have this list. Maybe we could go back and forth on this list. But
Okay.
so this is the list we were talking about earlier. This is AI took everything, we put it
Mhm.
into the mix and we said basically if you to take every conversation we ever had, by the way, it was over 500,000 words spoken, more than it was about seven full length books, right? Of words, and it took everything in and it said, hey, here's a lot of themes that you had, but really here's some lessons that you learned, and there's 10 of them. So we'll just go down the list. I'll start with the first one. Everyone has a defining moment.
Mhm.
And we saw that over and over. There's a
Yeah.
moment that somebody could point to and said, "Oh yeah, that changed my life. That's why I did this thing. It was really hard. I didn't think I was going to make it through. Some of the people that we had on it went to jail, went to prison, then came out, wrote
Yes, that's
books,
right. That's
spoke about
right.
it, right? Like, so a defining moment. Everyone has had a defining moment. What do you do with it is the thing.
Yeah. I love this one. People want to be truly seen. And I would say it's even beyond, visibility for the person themselves, but it's about the
Uh,
legacy that they want to leave and the impact that they want to leave on other people. People want to be truly seen is not about me, the speaker, or me, the one who's come up with the idea. It's me understanding that you deserve to be seen. And that's why all of the people that we spoke to, That's why they brought their ideas to the table so that they could shine the light on others. So I love
Yeah.
that lesson.
I love that. Because if I'm being seen, so are you, kind of
Yes.
thing. I love that. Yeah. The next one was courage sounds different in every voice. And I love that. When I saw that, I was like, oh, I could think of so many moments where we had people on and you were like, wow, that's pretty courageous to do that thing. And it showed up so different. It showed up so differently in people. So even when our viewers are watching, I hope that people think, you don't have to be courageous like somebody else. Be courageous like you and what courage looks like for your voice.
Love that. Pain often becomes purpose.
Mm,
And I don't even think that's just about physical pain. Sometimes it's the pain of disappointment that things aren't working out, or the pain of the world's problems. Pain often becomes purpose, right? And usually some of the greatest things that have come out of our conversations and conversations way before you and I were ever an idea in somebody else's head. Some of the greatest inventions, some of the greatest problems that have been solved, some of the greatest solutions have come because it's pain, right? And so I know I can be Mr. Positivity, but it's because I believe, as many of our guests have expressed, the pain that you're going through it for a reason, and that reason is your purpose.
oh, so well said, Mark. I love that. All right, number five, fifth thing that we kind of learned from our, big jumble of all of the conversations that we had is that identity is an ongoing journey. Identity is an ongoing journey. I think when we're young, we're always looking for our identity. We heard lots of stories of how people found their identity when they were young. Maybe they found it later in life through family or through career. And then when that shifted or changed, how they had to find it again. And so I just love that reminder is that, our identity is fluid and we can find it. It's a lifelong journey. We're going to have different identities at different times.
Absolutely. It doesn't mean we have multiple personalities, but
No,
it
that
does
doesn't
mean we
mean
have multiple identities.
that.
We listen, there's levels to who we are. So I love that. Love that. Vulnerability builds connection. And this is not just about the power of vulnerability, but I think it's a lesson that so many of our guests have shared that really makes this point. You could talk about how amazing you are. You could talk about the heroic things you've done. You could talk about the great ideas that you have unleashed on the world. But when it first starts off with, I'm having a hard time with this.
Mm,
I'm going through something that you probably don't even imagine, right? Like all of these ideas came from, I'll go back to that word earlier, a pain point, and it came from people being willing to share. And you mentioned that earlier, right? Like during this season of our lives, that is, like we've shared things that are like, wow, I didn't get it. um, it's those moments when we are transparent and vulnerable that people actually feel closer to us, that we're
yeah.
actually all going through something similar. And that's what draws people to you to want to find out your ideas, you know?
Yeah.
So for everybody out there, share some vulnerability.
Yeah. 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 Love that, Mark. Um, and this is probably a tag on to that. Healing happens through conversation. Healing happens through conversation because when you converse with somebody, you find out that you're more similar than you are not similar. And you find more connections than you do disconnections. And you find more reasons to want to, coincide and like be, have this serendipitous relationship or just show up in the world. I mean, I always think about that viral video, that they did in New York City where they put like a big ball pit and then they just had people in lines coming and sitting in it. And they made everybody sit in there. You could be like a 7-year-old with a 91-year-old, and you sit there until you find a commonality, right? And so a lot of things happen through conversations, but healing is one of them.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. By the way, I've done that activity with quite a few groups that I've worked with.
Oh, I
So,
love it.
yeah,
It's so fun.
it absolutely is awesome. And you're right. The healing and the connection happens through conversations, especially from people who don't even know that the other even existed before they had the conversation.
Mm,
Um, Authenticity creates leadership. The greatest leaders are those who are just who they are.
mm,
And sometimes it's hard to be authentic and to just be you, right? And so it goes back to that healing and that vulnerability, right? Just, it's all right. However you are is good. And that's the best kind of leader that we need. So I'm thinking about Justin comes to mind, by the way, from our first
mm.
season. He is one of the
I
most
love me some Justin.
yeah, yeah, he might be one of the most authentic people,
Oh,
authentically raw and to the bone, right? Like
yes.
cut it to you straight, right? And I wouldn't change him for anything, just like I wouldn't change anybody. It's awesome to see people show up as who they are and to be comfortable. They're the true leaders, and that was a great lesson.
Mm. Ah, I love that. All right, the ninth one is joy can guide our decisions. And I love that because I know that a lot of the conversations we had were about joy and happiness is supposed to be the state, and it's elusive sometimes and it's hard to stay there. But joy can happen anywhere and everywhere. And so if we choose joy and choose joy in every decision, it can guide us and we don't have to think about whether this thing will make us happy, but be joyful in the moment and make our decisions through joy.
Beautifully put. Oh, this whole thing has given me so much joy. And I don't know if this is distinctively human joy, but we have to celebrate the humanity of what we do and the stories behind the humanity that we've spent time with. Every human story matters. One
Mm,
of my favorite lessons from this entire experience. 120 people? Wow, like, wow, sharing their stories with us. And you're right, I can't AI that.
nope, cannot.
Nobody can AI your lived experience, and the lessons have come from those lived experiences. And so, creating a platform where people can share their story, and I'm thinking of our good friend Carol, who's one of the story queens on this planet, and her storyhood, if we could take the world back to that original point where people are just going from town to town and sharing stories, like we just need a human campfire where people will
Mm,
just have the opportunity to share their human stories, to share stories to show how human they are. And because we're all human, we're somehow connected to everybody's story, somehow,
mm,
some
mm.
way, right? And so it matters to tell your story and it matters to hear stories because every human story matters.
Ah, ah, and we just 120 of billions of people in the world.
Yeah. Wow.
Mark, Mark, this has been, I love the summary that we did. I love the conversations we had about some of the moments and the lessons. I really can wholeheartedly agree with everything it said. I really felt like that came up for us over. And I just want to express my gratitude for you taking that voicemail and just saying, you always joke about how you said yes before you even knew what it was. And, I love you. I appreciate you. You are my friend, my brother for life. And this journey is something very special in my life, and I'm never ever gonna forget these moments in my life, and they're out there forever, on the internet. And so, um, yeah, I just want to express my gratitude for all this time we've
Yeah.
spent doing this show.
Well, I am returning, exchanging that gratitude. I thank you. I love you too. Oh, you have been a guiding light and an ray of sunshine. And doing this has just added more glow to this whole friendship, this whole siblinghood that we have. It's absolutely amazing. And I thank you for being a part of it. I thank everybody who said yes to joining us for a conversation, who said yes when the times didn't work and we had to reschedule.
Yep.
Want to thank everybody who either watched at any point throughout the season. But I guess the distinction for me is anybody who's watched any episode and all of those people who watched the very first episode when we did like a YouTube live, we had people like, oh man, that was
Yes.
so awesome.
When we were premiering, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh wow. As one of my favorite people has said, good times, great memories.
Mm,
Good
yeah,
times, great memories.
I love it.
So, we've already said it. Speaker Skills Academy is the chapter we're in. And we did It's About to Go Down so that Speaker Skills Academy could be born. It's About to Go Down will live in a new form as a future of speaking, which again is also connected to Speaker Skills Academy. Cathey, you and I are on this mission. We have found our purpose in life to help people to become better at speaking and to help them to get their ideas out into the world. And I think those two things are really important for people to understand. We know you're not to open up your mouth and let words come out. We know that, right? But we want to be able to help people to do it in a way that gets their ideas out and spread, and so that people can do something with them so that they have that impact. And I'm glad that we had this forum to do that and to introduce them to people, 120 people that they may not have heard of or met. So I'm glad that we did that. I'm looking forward to everything that is going to come in the future of speaking. And most importantly, I'm looking forward to everything and anything that is going to come because of Speaker Skills Academy. Word up.
Word up.
Word up. I guess I would say in closing, in the spirit of our brother John Waller, there are no ordinary moments. And we are grateful that you, the proverbial you, everybody watching, everybody who's been a part of this in some way, shape, form, or fashion, we're grateful you shared so many of those no ordinary moments with us. Without you, it never would have gone down.
Mm.
But even though the show comes to a close, no matter where you are on this planet, no matter what stage you are speaking on, no matter what dinner table you are sitting at, it is, it will, and it always will go down.
Down. Oh, the one last time.
Yes.
And that is a wrap.